Hi everyone, it's Ileana, and I'm going to be sharing this card that I made with the August Simon Says stamp card kit. First, I'm going to take the image from the stamp set, and it's called the Ice Cream Dream stamp set, and I'm going to be stamping it onto a scrap piece of watercolor paper. This isn't the paper that came in the kit, it's just a piece of scrap paper that I had in my drawer. I purchased it from Hobby Lobby. It is the Strathmore 140-pound watercolor paper. I just used my powder tool to prep my area, and I will be stamping with Versamark ink and then using clear embossing powder. I wanted to use Misty because once I've embossed it, if I see that I've missed a spot, I could just pop that piece of paper right back into that corner and stamp again and powder it again, and then that way I get a clean image. I'm not sure what kind of clear embossing powder I have. It's been in this container for a long time and I just keep it in there. Now I'm using my heat gun to melt the embossing powder onto the paper, and it does warp a little bit, but I'm going to use masking tape to adhere my image down onto my work surface. I'm using a watercolor set that I purchased from Michaels. I'm not sure what the brand is, but it's the generic kind that you can get from Michaels. I'm prepping my image with a little bit of water, and I'm just using yellow and orange. I saw Sherry Carroll do this color set, combination on one of her cards, and I really liked the way it turned out, so I used the same colors that she did, except she used a different brand. I don't have much experience with watercolors. I did take the online card class taught by Jennifer McGuire and Christina Warner. It was an excellent class. I just need to practice a little bit more, and I'm hoping to do that a little bit each week. I've mixed some of the colors down in the bottom of my watercolor palette. I kind of felt like they were a little dark, and I felt like I needed to use a different color, but I didn't want to start over, and so I just went with what I had already completed. I'm going to set that aside to dry while I put the rest of my card front together. Now I have my paper pre-cut, and I am adhering a 1/2-inch strip of Melon Mambo cardstock to my pattern paper that is about 1 inch wide. The Melon Mambo is not in the kit, it's just a scrap piece of cardstock that I had that matched the paper, and I am just trimming off the excess off the edge. And then I'm going to be adhering the green cardstock that did come in the kit. It's also 1/2 inch. I'm going to adhere it right above the pink. I'm going to be exposing the whole 1/2 inch of the green where the Melon Mambo is just showing just about 1/8 of an inch between. And I'm going to be trimming it with my craft knife. Once I'm done, I'm going to be stamping my sentiment onto that little green strip, but first I need to figure out where my embellishment will be placed. I've die cut my pattern paper with my Spellbinders Nestabilities. I used the pinking circles on the yellow, which is no longer available, but I'm sure someone's got some kind of pinking circles somewhere. And I am just adhering my pieces together with some foam tape. The foam tape that I'm using is very sticky, so I do have a little difficulty trying to center my green piece onto my yellow. It is very thin foam tape, and I do like it because then it makes the cards not so bulky for mailing. And I'm not going to stick it on there quite yet, I'm just using it for placement. I really do love the green pattern paper that is in the center of the embellishment, and I really wish they would have given us 2 sheets of that, but you got to work with what you got. And now that my watercolor pieces are dry, I'm just going to simply cut them out with a pair of scissors, and then I will decorate the top of the ice cream cone with embossing paste. And what I'll do is I'm going to be coloring the embossing paste with Doll Pink, and I saw Jennifer McGuire use this on her card example for the same kit, so I really liked the way it turned out, but I'm only going to be using one color. And what I do is just scoop it out of my container, and I just take a little bit because I'm only doing one color, and I'm just working the color from the craft mat into the embossing paste. And once I get it to a color that I like, I spread it onto the top of the cut ice cream cone, and it goes on like frosting. And so you can just manipulate the paste until you make it look like a scoop of ice cream. And I set that aside to dry, and it probably took about half an hour to 40 minutes. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to stamp the sentiment onto the small strip of green paper. I'm stamping my image with Versamark, and then I will be embossing it with a white embossing powder. I can't tell you what brand of embossing powder I use. I bought it a long time ago, and it's been sitting in this tub. It lasts forever. I use my heat gun to set the powder, and once my piece is done, I set that aside and try to put the rest of my card together. I am adhering the pinked circle with the foam tape. And once I've adhered it, I will see where I want to put all my pieces. And the pieces that have been cut out are pretty flat, but before I adhere them down, I want to stamp out another image from the stamp set. I'm taking a small strip of scrap white cardstock, and it is the Paper Tray Ink Stamper Select cardstock, and I do like using this paper because it is thick. I've mounted the small heart image onto a small acrylic block, and yes, I do own them and I do use them, but I prefer to use Misty. But for punching out stuff like this with small images, it's just as easy to use the blocks. And what I do is I stamp it 3 times, and I choose the best image out of the 3. And I'm using a 1/2 inch circle punch from EK Success. It came in a pack of 2 that I purchased from Target a while back, probably a couple years ago. And I am just placing it onto the card where I think I want it to go. And I've pulled out my sequins, and these are the 3mm moonshine sequins that I purchased from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm trying to determine which piece I want to be mounted on the foam adhesive and which one I want to be flush. And I decide that since the ice cream cone has dimension to it, that's the one that I'm going to adhere flush onto the paper with liquid adhesive. And I take my popsicle, and I'm just going to add foam adhesive to the back of it, and I just trim it out in a small strip. I make sure that I put that strip down on the stick end of the popsicle, just so that it doesn't get caught when it comes in and out of the envelope. And I will take my Scotch quick dry adhesive to adhere the ice cream cone to the card, and it does dry very quickly, so I could just hold it down with my fingers for just a little bit to make sure that it doesn't shift on me. And once I get that in place, I remove the backing off my foam adhesive and adhere the popsicle to the front of the card. And I do overlap it just a little bit, just for added interest. And I use Cloudy Helmuth Multi-Matte Medium to adhere my sequins. And once I get all my sequins adhered down, I pull out my new jar of Distress Crackle Paint in Rock Candy, and I've never used this before, so this will be a first for me. And I don't think I put enough on my card, but I still like the way it turned out. And I'm just using a cheap watercolor paintbrush to test out the consistency of this, and I just use it on the orange part of the popsicle. I was worried that if I put too much of this on that it would reactivate the watercolor underneath, so I just wanted to experiment with it to see how it turned out. And I am pleased with the way that it turned out on the popsicle. And I probably, now that the card is dry, maybe I'll go back and add a little bit more and see how it turns out, but maybe I should just leave it alone. And once I get done with the popsicle, I think about it and I decide that I'm going to put it on the top of the ice cream cone. And I don't like the way that it turned out on the ice cream cone. And so I end up going back once it's completely dry and adding more, and then I just use some glitter over it, and I liked that much better. And I decide that I want to put some Wink of Stella clear on the yellow part of the popsicle. And once I get the popsicle done, I want to put some on the pink heart, but I am careful not to go onto the white part of the heart. I'm worried that there might be some yellow on the tip, and I should have just cleaned it off, but I just color the pink part of the stamped image there. And I am pleased with how it's turned out so far, and here's a close-up of the card. And I decide that that upper left corner needs to be rounded off just for added interest. It just kind of looks a little odd, and I do like that much better. And thanks for watching. Be sure you give this video a thumbs up, and you head on over to the blog and you subscribe to both my YouTube channel and to my blog. Thanks for watching.